Welcome back to Cinema Central. I'm your host, DJ Ace, and on the previous episode, I took a look back at the movies I saw in theaters in 2018. And now on this episode, I am going to take a look ahead at the movies I'll probably go and see in a theater or are worthy of mentioning. This list will be in order of release, and as always, dates are subject to change. Let's get this thing started. The first major release to kick things off for me this year is Glass, the Unbreakable and Split sequel. When Bruce Willis showed up at the end of Split, I think everyone lost their collective minds, including myself, when we realized this mashup was in fact going to be a real thing. So I'm a bit excited to say the least. Hopefully it is a hit though, because we all know M. Night Shyamalan movies can be very hit or miss. I'll be the first to admit I am a complete nerd, which is why I am super excited for the limited release of Dragon Ball Super Broly, which also comes out in January. The trailers look great, and Broly was already one of my favorite DBZ movies and characters, so to see him get written into the official canon is very exciting. Also, Gogeta, come on. So this next one is going to be a real odd pick for me, but if you watch a trailer for Cold Pursuit, you'd understand why it's on this list. Liam Neeson is back in another revenge story, and the difference is that he is the Snowplow Man. Yes, you heard that right, Snowplow Man. Now granted, he is like a super hardcore snowplow man, like in the middle of nowhere, probably Alaska, but either way, it looks completely insane, and we'll see what happens. The Lego Movie 2, the second part, takes the cake for the best sequel title ever. I so love the first Lego Movie. The trailers for this one look fantastic, and we'll find out this February just how awesome this movie really is. So this past December, there were two movies that stood a high chance of getting rolled over by the other films that came out. Those films were Mortal Engines and Alita Battle Angel. Of the two of them, Alita Battle Angel moved its release to this February, and as we have already seen, that was the smartest move ever because Mortal Engines was arguably the biggest box office bomb of 2018. Now, I know I have talked about Alita before, but one more time, the visuals look insane, the content is slightly intriguing, and there's some pretty big names attached to the project, so I am interested in seeing this one. Now, I know I have said it before, and I'll keep on saying it, I don't do horror films. However, there's one movie that came out a little while ago called Happy Death Day, which gives a horror twist to the Groundhog Day concept. I will admit I have considered checking it out, and now I think I might have to now that Happy Death Day to You comes out this February. However, the trailer completely spoils the first movie, so that was kind of a bummer. How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World is the first movie coming out this year that is almost guaranteed to make me cry. The second movie certainly did, so I fully expect this one to as well. My only hope is that it is just a great capstone for the trilogy. There is only one movie of note for me coming out in March, and that is Captain Marvel. Brie Larson stars in the first female-led MCU film, and I can't be more excited. Because the trailers look great, the character is obviously going to have a huge part to play in the upcoming Avengers Endgame. More on that later. And yes, it is an origin story, and it takes place in the 90s, and it looks like it'll be a whole lot of fun. April actually kicks off for me with the DC film Shazam. I was on board for this movie since seeing the first trailer, and now after the success of Aquaman, I think everyone else is on board for this movie as well. Also, I think Zachary Levi was the perfect choice for this movie. There's a Hellboy reboot coming in April, and the first trailer has dropped. David Harbour is playing our big red friend, and it looks like it could be fun. I also believe the film will be rated R, which will take the gloves off, so to speak. However, I don't know how I feel about them replacing Ron Perlman in a bodysuit. And finishing up April is the big one, Avengers Endgame, and oh my goodness. So let's be completely honest, Infinity War was the cinematic experience of 2018. And you know that its sequel is going to be unreal, especially when you consider how Infinity War ended, and then after how bleak that first trailer was. Oh my goodness, this movie cannot get here soon enough. So I don't know how I feel about Detective Pikachu. The trailer is interesting, but maybe it's just me. But when I think about Pikachu talking, I don't think of Ryan Reynolds' voice coming out of it. So now that image is going to be stuck in my head for like ever. And I guess it could be a fun movie. We'll see what happens. John Wick Chapter 3 is a movie I am also very excited for. Chapters 1 and 2 were both just so astoundingly good, and I expect no less from this one, especially considering how the last one finished. I also expect a kill count of at least 200. The live-action adaptation machine at Disney is going full steam ahead now as we are getting the live-action Aladdin this May. I was never really on board with these live-action remakes, so I really don't know how I feel about Aladdin, but you know what? Will Smith is in it, so it could be fun. Godzilla King of the Monsters is going to be an absolute colossal movie that deserves to be seen on the biggest screen possible. I'm super glad this new Godzilla is getting a sequel, and this one looks like it's going to have all the giant monster violence and destruction we craved from the first film. Rocket Man is a biopic about Elton John starring Taron Egerton, and the teaser trailer has come out and it looks interesting to say the least. I just don't know how well it is going to perform because of how well and good Bohemian Rhapsody was. X-Men Dark Phoenix is the final chapter in the current arc of the X-Men movies by Fox, and I say that as it is actually the final picture in this arc, but also because by the time this movie comes out, Disney is going to own Fox. My only hope is that this one will be much better than X-Men Apocalypse. The trailer for Men in Black International has come out starring Chris Hemsworth and Tessa Thompson, who of course starred together in Thor Ragnarok, so they already have great on-screen chemistry, and the trailer just looks like this movie will be a lot of fun, even though it will not have Will Smith or Tommy Lee Jones in it. I will also admit I have not yet seen Toy Story 3, which I think makes me a terrible person, but that is not going to stop Toy Story 4 from coming out this June, and we have no idea what to expect from this movie because the teaser tells us next to nothing about this movie. However, you might want to bring some tissues because apparently this movie even made Tom Hanks cry. There's a lot of buzz for Spider-Man Far From Home coming out in July because it will be the first MCU film to come out after Avengers Endgame, and Spider-Man Homecoming kind of set the bar pretty high already, not to mention Jake Gyllenhaal is playing the villain Mysterio. The Lion King is coming back to theaters, but this time it's in extremely high definition, like you can count the hairs on Simba now. But to be honest, I'm even less interested in this Disney remake than I am in the Aladdin remake. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is the new Quentin Tarantino film coming out starring Brad Pitt and Leonardo DiCaprio and takes place in 1969 Los Angeles during the Manson family murders. I fully expect this to have all the great Tarantino trademarks of great dialogue, great storytelling, and exceptionally over-the-top violence. So yes, the live-action Dora the Explorer coming out this August is a real thing. I'm just going to leave that there. Hobbs and Shaw is a Fast and Furious spin-off starring Jason Statham and Dwayne Johnson and will probably have explosions, punching, and more over-the-top action and maybe some cool cars as well. New Mutants is an X-Men horror movie, which is quite a surprising combination, so I'll admit I am torn because I want to see it because it's an X-Men film, but it's also a horror film, which as we all know, I don't watch those. So yeah, don't know how I'm going to deal with that one. The latest in a long line of book-to-film adaptations comes out this year with Artemis Fowl. I'll admit, I read most of these books when I was in high school, and I found a good deal of entertainment value from them, but I never thought they'd turn it into a movie, and I have no idea how this is going to turn out. I can say based on the trailer, what I have seen is not how I pictured it in my brain like 10 years ago, so we'll see what happens. The Angry Birds Movie 2. Why? Just why? So remember all those Gerard Butler action films? Okay, that's like his entire filmography. However, they were called Olympus Has Fallen and London Has Fallen. Well, there's going to be a third one titled Angel Has Fallen. In September of 2017, there was a massive horror hit in It. And now they're striking the iron while it's still hot because It Chapter 2 comes out this September. And I will not be there for this one, but by all means, if you like the first one, knock yourself out. Now, a very interesting film coming out in October is the new Joker film starring Joaquin Phoenix. The images we have seen thus far look fantastic, and I'm very interested to see how this movie fits into the bigger picture, though it has already been said that it will be entirely separate of the rest of the DCU. A biopic I'm very excited for is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, starring Tom Hanks as the one and only Mr. Rogers. I fully expect this to be an absolutely beautiful film, and I'm very pleased that this is a thing, and I will more than likely cry. So when talking about old movies that should be rebooted, I'm going to guess that Charlie's Angels was not near the top of your list, but regardless of whether it was or not, it's coming out this November. Believe it or not, there's in fact a Terminator 6 coming out, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be a return to form, but probably not. The only saving grace, I guess, that this movie has is that Linda Hamilton is coming back as Sarah Connor. I have talked at length before about how bad video game movie adaptations are, and now we're getting a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog for reasons that completely baffle me. But hey, at least Sonic is not skipping leg day. You know what I'm talking about if you've seen the poster. There's a third Kingsman coming out, and this time it is a prequel and it will not be starring Taron Egerton. Other than that, not much is known. The most inevitable sequel ever rounds out November with Frozen 2. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually enjoyed Frozen. Sure, maybe that one song got a bit annoying after a while, but it had a good story. I am just really hoping that this movie can live up to the first one in overall quality and not be a cash grab. But it's probably just going to be a cash grab because Disney. Back in 2017, one movie managed to take on the juggernaut of a numbered Star Wars title. That movie was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle, and now they're going to do it again this December when the sequel movie will be taking on Star Wars Episode 9. And for the record, Welcome to the Jungle was really good. And speaking of Star Wars Episode 9, which is my greatest hope for the future of humankind, that this movie is just incredible, that everyone loves it, and we can all get along on social media, and that brings about a new era of world peace. Okay, maybe that all won't happen, but I need this one to not be as divisive as the Last Jedi was. I really need it, guys. I really, really need this movie to be great and wonderful and amazing, and that it'll all come together and just be a fulfilling ending to this trilogy that has just been all over the place thus far. And yeah, this is my greatest hope for the future of 2019. That wraps it up, and boy, there are a lot of films coming out this year. Who knew? What are you most excited to see? Let me know in the comments or in the socials at Ace Cinema Central, and I'll see you again for Glass coming out on January 17th.
Booyah!